The showground is buzzing here at the world's greatest flower show as visitors flock to view these incredible gardens and exhibits.
We've got more tips, tricks and hacks to make gardening that little bit easier for you, plus plenty of exclusive action. Hello and welcome back to the RHS Chelsea Flower Show. Now we're already halfway through an incredible week and I can't believe how quickly it is going, and we've learned so much so far. But what would be your favourite tip?
I think it's about flowers.
Yes.
Because you know how much I love floristry and trying to do it at home. And Simon Lysaght was telling me the best tips to make your flowers last longer. So make sure you cut them at an angle and also snip them in the middle so that they drink in lots of water and flourish.
Yeah, very good. And you saw him on Monday, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you can watch it again on BBC iPlayer.
You are right. Now, we've got another jam-packed show for you today, and our team of experts are standing by to share all their best tips for you to try at home.
Coming up, James has the next instalment of our ultimate beginner's guide to help you grow your houseplants.
Today, it's all about watering. Every indoor gardener needs to know the different watering techniques that are out there, and I'll be showing you what you can do if you've overwatered yours.
James will also be answering your questions in today's Chelsea Clinic, and Toby's solving another of your biggest gardening challenges without breaking the bank.
One issue many people struggle with is having no view at all in their outside space. Well, I've got the savvy solutions to give you a cracking view all around you.
And I'll be chatting to chef Levi Roots about how his grandparents' garden inspired his love for cooking that he's passed on to his own children before he joins Angellica to make a summer barbecue feast from the ingredients that you can grow on your windowsill.
With many of us living and working in cities and urban areas, finding those little pockets of green spaces can be tricky. The St James's Piccadilly Garden is one of the most ambitious designs at Chelsea this year and has revamped what a city park looks like. Joining me to walk through the garden is designer Robert Myers. Great to see you again, Robert. This space is incredible. Let's just talk about how important those little pockets of spaces are for people who don't have access to large parks and outdoor spaces.
I think pocket parks, as you rightly call them, and green spaces in the city are so important for both for well-being for people, but also bringing nature into the city for biodiversity. And really here at St James's Piccadilly, what we want to do is to create as rich an oasis really in a little corner of Piccadilly as we can.
Yeah, well, let's just walk through some of these features. I mean, this is incredible, and that's about looking in and out, isn't it?
Yes, we built this wall really to create the sense of being at St James's Piccadilly, which is this amazing, iconic Christopher Wren church.
Yeah.
And so it's a 5-metre wall, and into that wall we placed one of the Wren windows. And Christopher Wren never put stained glass in his windows. He's really keen on bringing as much light as possible into the space. And so we recreated this clear glass window without glass.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely at Chelsea that people can look through from the back into this space.
Which you can see right now, yeah.
Exactly, there they are.
Yeah.
The church can see out, the world can see in.
Now, I'm loving this urn, and this is actually from St James, isn't it?
Yes, we pinched this from the garden, craned it over the wall and brought it here, and we will be returning it. But it just brings that sense of history into the garden, places you at St James's. And we've made it into effectively a water feature. These little spouts of water trickling into the pool below just creates a little bit of gentle sound and sight of water, which is so relaxing in these spaces.
Because tranquility is really key to this garden, isn't it?
Yes, and certainly the back here, this back part of the garden, the mood changes slightly. We're kind of in a woodland garden here, very much as we will be creating at St James's. So it's really about some textural shrubs, some flowers, some pops of colour, but very much more about leaf texture, calming greens, different tones of greens, and really creating that sort of calm sense of being in a woodland in the city.
There's a real sense of a sanctuary and feeling like you belong. How can people at home create that sort of peace and tranquility in their own gardens?
Well, I think, as I say, a little bit of water goes a long way in terms of that calming sound that drowns out the noise of traffic in the background. It's about simple planting, using textures, and leaf colour, pops of colour, as I say, but also encouraging wildlife into your garden space. We've actually got a rather unique bird box in our garden, which is designed in the shape of St James's Church. But actually bringing birds and wildlife and thinking about that when you're designing your planting, really important in terms of wildlife and biodiversity.
Well, Robert, I'm a massive fan of St James's. I know this spot really well, and my son has sung at the church too. So I'm going to be seeing a different light and try and take in that peace and tranquility a bit more. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, to help you recreate some of this magic at home, the team have been showing you the popular border trends this year and also plants you can pick up to replicate them. So far, we've looked at the twist on a classic cottage garden border and the return of the rock garden. Today, Mark's looking into the rising popularity of borders to bring the countryside into our gardens.
If you're looking for a lovely, relaxed, maybe a little bit chaotic gardening, then this is for you. I'm in a woodland setting. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you look at the planting, it's very relaxed, it's informal. It looks like the plants have self-seeded themselves and dotted them all the way around. We've got the trees for that vertical accent. Now, there's not much of a mid-story, but what there is transparent and airy, giving that lovely lightness to the whole planting. And the planting continues all the way down to ground level. It's all about mimicking nature and the countryside. You can put in as much work as you want, but really just let nature do its thing. It can sometimes be a little overwhelming when you come and see a large garden like this, but if you focus on just one border, you can really get some ideas. And the great thing about this type of planting is that all the plants support each other. If we had one plant all on its own, then it could be susceptible to pests and diseases, but by grouping them together, they all just create this wonderful community. Now, if we start low, we've got this lovely epimedium with that gorgeous yellow flower. The grass sort of goes all the way through, drawing your eye through the planting scheme. Then we've got the airy section. We've got Thalictrum, we've got Valerian, and then Cenolophium with a fern-like leaf that gives a real contrast in texture, and it's a lovely, relaxed feel. From the woodland to the great pavilion, there are ideas and inspiration round every corner. Just look at this, it's like a countryside hedgerow, and all of these plants you can grow in your own garden. Just look at this gorgeous plant. This is woodruff, really delicate flowers, little clusters of 4-petaled white flowers, and then these whorls of leaves. This is a great one for the front of your border, perfect for partial shade and even deep shade. For some height, why not try Aruncus horatio? This common name is goat's beard. It has really loose, feathery leaves, and then it sends up these tall plumes of gorgeous white flowers, perfect for partial shade as well as deep shade. Introducing plants like this into your borders in a naturalistic way is a perfect way to actually mimic nature. It's what we call chaos planting. And the great thing, there are actually no rules, so you can just have fun. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned gardener, just go out there, throw some seeds and see what nature does.
Oh, the borders here at Chelsea are truly sublime. Now, even if you don't have any outdoor space, there's plenty of inspiration at RHS Chelsea for you too. This is the part of the show where we're helping you grow houseplants with the ultimate beginner's guide. Today, James has everything you need to know on an essential part of caring for any plant, and that is watering.
Plants are incredible because they've evolved to occupy every climate niche on the planet. Take, for example, this snake plant, because it has these thick, fleshy leaves to hold on to water. It means you don't have to irrigate them very much at all. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have this blue star fern, skinny leaves that are really terrible at holding on to water. So this will need loads more watering. It's important you know the difference because the #1 killer of houseplants is overwatering. People just love them a little bit too much. So when it comes to how often you water your plants, the simplest advice is don't water them on a schedule. Check them on a schedule. Dig down about a centimetre. If it appears light in colour and it's dry to the touch, it needs water. If it is slightly darker and feels moist, you're fine. There is just one really confusing thing about watering, and that's that overwatering and underwatering can have the exact same symptom: wilted leaves. And that happens on overwatered plants because their roots rot away, there's nothing there to take up that moisture, and the plant ironically dies of dehydration. But there is something you can do about that. I was going to show you exactly how to do that, but we're at Chelsea Flower Show, and of course all the plants are perfect. But what you would do is gently take the plant out of its pot, remove any brown, maybe even smelly roots, and repot the whole thing. It's essentially a little bit of surgery to remove any infection. Now, if your plant has really dried out, its potting media can become what we call hydrophobic. It will actually repel water. All you need is a big pot, bucket, or even just a sink full of water. Slowly lower it in, and you can actually see it in action because little bubbles break the surface. With 95% of houseplants, you water conventionally from the top. There is a small group of exceptions, however, and that's fuzzy-leaved plants. And these can rot at the crown where the plant meets the soil. So in these exceptions, we water from below. And you allow that moisture to be drawn up via the wick effect, keeping the crown nice and dry. And that's all you need to know, and you have a much happier plant.
Tomorrow, Francis will be sharing how to design with houseplants to turn your home into an indoor retreat. Now, I am truly delighted to be joined by Chef Levi Roots. Welcome to Chelsea, and you are a newbie.
Oh, hi, Nicki. Yes, newbie, but I've driven past every year and wishing that the opportunity would come for me to actually come inside of the Chelsea Flower Show. And here I am, with you, of course. It's amazing.
Can I just say, this is how everybody should dress when they come to Chelsea.
Oh, thank you. Well, we match up a little bit, didn't we? We got the reds and everything like that.
We got the memo.
We got the memo.
And we also have something else in common. You know, we're both passionate about gardening, something we both found when we were very young. But you didn't discover that in the UK, did you? It was in Jamaica for you.
I grew up in Jamaica in a place called Clarendon, where my grandfather had a little farm, and my grandmother, who was a great cook, that was teaching me a lot about food and how it grew. I think for them, the job was to teach me, as the youngest of the family, how to grow food and how it's growing. So I was always with my grandfather, and of course I was known as my grandmother's frock tail.
Oh, really? Hanging on?
Hanging on to her frock tail, watching whatever she puts in the pot, and being a sous chef, of course, climbing the trees, picking the ingredients, picking the scotch bonnets and the pimento, and running it to bring to her, and watching her put it in the pot and cooking away.
And that was the inspiration very,
Absolutely.
very early on. And then obviously life changed when you moved to the UK, to Brixton.
Yes.
A very different garden from the one you were used to, I can imagine.
It was. I think I refer to it as a concrete jungle, coming from where, Jamaica, where everything is green and all year round.
Yes.
But little space that we had in our garden when I first came over to my parents' house, which really kind of helped me to feel at home. Even though I missed the 2 miles or so that we had as a garden.
2 miles?
Well, it felt like 2 miles. I think now when I go back, that 2 miles that felt like as a kid now looks like more like a few hundred yards. But Nicki, I think when I do look at, the garden as it was back then, I still see the young Levi, the 10-year-old, playing around in this massive field and the little lake that we had running through our garden.
Oh, I mean, if you think about it, being a cook and being a gardener, they are intertwined, aren't they? And I know you've recently moved, haven't you?
I have. It's sadly so, because I never thought that I would ever move away from Brixton. But now I have a young son, his name is Christopher, and I wanted him to see a bit more of the countryside, a bit like how I grew up and got the feeling appeal of being on the outside and living with the plants. And even though we were in Brixton, but I still grew things in my little garden.
Someone told me you grew an avocado tree.
I brought back a seed from Jamaica and planted it with the old trick of putting 2 toothpicks on it and put it over the water, and it grew. Eventually, after years, I had, you know, a massively fully grown avocado
Is it still
tree.
there?
It's still there, and it was one of the saddest things when I moved away from Brixton that I had to leave. I had to leave my avocado tree.
Well,
but hopefully somebody else has got it and is looking after it.
Well, I know one of the reasons you decided to move because you fell in love with the garden of your new home, which
Yes.
you are doing up slowly with your lovely son. You are going to get so much inspiration here. And little birdie told me you're going to be back on Saturday
Yes,
to buy a few plants.
I can't wait walking around and seeing the possibilities of me to be able to buy a few. So I can't wait to come back on Saturday. It's
You're
going to
going
be
to be
amazing.
in your element. And of course, we can't have you here and not do a little bit of cooking. So you're going to join Angellica.
You can't keep me out of the kitchen,
No,
can you?
absolutely.
not.
A bit of a summer barbecue. I'd like you to save me some. But enjoy your time here at Chelsea and don't spend too much money on Saturday,
thank you
will
so
you?
much.
Levi, thank you very much. Now, it is time for our own Chelsea agony uncle, Toby, to help solve another of your gardening challenges. Today, he's tackling one many of us struggle with. Dear Toby, I need help to improve my view.
If you're strapped for space, look no further. I'm going to show you how you can have an eye-catching small garden with plenty of Chelsea pizzazz, and it can be kind on your pocket too. This is the Sue Ryder garden, and designer Catherine Holland has been very clever with the views. You see the curve on the paving? Well, a round patio in the middle of a garden draws the eye to the centre, creates a view into the plot. But she's also thought about the views beyond. Like most Chelsea gardens, this one will have a second life. It's going to go to St John's Hospice in Bedfordshire. And there, in the distance, there's a church steeple, there's distant hills and woodlands that Catherine wants you to look at. That's why the planting on one side of the plot is nice and low, so you can see beyond it. But there are also things that she doesn't want you to see, like the neighbours, for example, and that's why the trees have been placed strategically on either side, but also like the frames of a picture to guide your eye to the stuff she'd like you to look at. Designers call this concept the borrowed landscape, and it's one to remember, because if it's borrowed, you don't have to pay to look after it. They may not be able to make use of the views beyond your boundaries, but there is one view all of us gardeners can make more of, and that's up. Now, Baz Granger in the Killick & Co garden has done just that with this clever trick. You see, this barcode effect created with these stone pillars and the hawthorns, a trick you could copy using climbers, by the way. Well, like the stripes on a shirt, if they're vertical, they make whoever's wearing it look taller, and in this case, it makes the walls look more substantial. And not only that, it draws the eye up. Now, in a garden, when you bring in the sky, you're bringing in that ever-changing tapestry of clouds and blue. It costs you nothing, and it looks great. At the end of the barcode is this very eye-catching water chute. Water in any garden, well, that's a viewpoint you're going to look at. It draws the eye. But my favourite viewpoint here is because of this tree. Now, this is a common garden birch, but it's made special because its crown has been lifted. Now, what that means, and it's so easy to copy, is that the branches from the base have all been chopped off, leaving just the crown of foliage at the top, guiding your eye to the view beyond. And this view is always lovely. It's a piece of furniture. It draws you into the garden because who doesn't want to sit down? So whether you're looking across, up, outside your garden, views are the way we perceive our outside space. Here's looking at you.
Toby is wonderful. He always has those little nuggets for us to take home.
Yes.
And he'll be back later with tips on what to plant in your garden when the temperature finally heats up.
A little bit unlike today, yeah. And we've got lots more still to come from the RHS Chelsea Flower Show 2024, an event supported by the Newt in Somerset. Carol's got her jargon-busting guide to buying a tree. They're one of the best things you can put in your garden, but it can be quite daunting. She'll tell you the simple steps to follow so you don't waste your cash.
Plus, James will be in the hot seat to answer your gardening questions in the Chelsea Clinic, and he's got today's budget-busting tip to save you money using supermarket herbs.
But first, we're here to explore one of our dream garden spaces here at Chelsea.
And we are taking a step into the future. This is the Water Aid Garden by Tom Massey and Jay Ann. And it really is a garden you expect to see in around 50 years' time.
Yeah,
if we're alive then, fingers crossed.
We'll be around. We'll be around. When you walk along Main Avenue, the first time I saw it, I looked up and it reminded me of a spaceship. If you asked a child to draw a spaceship, it'd be something like this. But when you actually stand on this garden, you realise the scale. It is enormous. And I think this is probably one of the biggest plots. And of course, the whole idea is not a spaceship, it's like a funnel, isn't it? Taking all the water into the garden,
it's like
capturing
a circle,
it.
goes round, cyclical, isn't it?
Yes.
That the water comes in, perfect for a day like this, comes down and uses irrigation from the planted at the bottom.
Have you noticed the flowers on the top, all the way around? Can you just see them?
Through.
Yeah.
Really lovely.
I mean, if you had a roof on a shed or something, you could do something similar.
On top of a house, flat roof. Be amazing.
I mean, it's pouring today, but the garden looks really good because of it.
Lots of beautiful flowers in this garden too. We've got a Primula Viali, which is one of my favourites. It's like this rocket-shaped one, which has been a real favourite for lots of people here at Chelsea. It's got that purple flowers on the bottom, and then it goes up into a lovely pink bud.
It is a burst of colour because there's a lot of green, there's a lot of foliage on this, and it's clever with the planting, but also the level. You see, I wouldn't ever think of really digging down into my garden, but as you said before, you've got sort of the rockery element at the back with the drier plants. The water comes cascading all the way through. What do you think of this walkway? I'm glad I haven't got heels on.
Well, we're wearing the right footwear. I love it. But what it does make you feel like is like you're walking on water. And I can imagine as there's more rain, it comes higher and higher. Yeah. It'll just become level with it, and you could just feel like you can just be all magical.
Also, the wildlife can go underneath, can't they? Plants as well. But it's such a great feature. It's a really strong feature, and it is a beautiful garden. Really beautiful. Now, being more mindful of our effect on the environment is at the heart of Chelsea this year, and some of the exhibitors bring new eco-friendly gadgets to the show that could help make gardening a tad easier.
And they are all competing for the RHS Sustainable Product of the Year. It's just another feature that's helping make this year the greenest Chelsea ever. Chris has been to visit this year's
Looks like they've just announced the winner. I'll be keen to grab a word with Deborah to find out what it was about that product that she liked. Deborah, you've just announced the winner there to a delighted Andy. What was it about that product that you liked so much?
Do you know, it's deeply sustainable from the word go. Sustainability was designed in, you can see that. They've thought about absolutely everything. It's a brilliant material that they're using. It's recycled and it can be recycled again. But it looks cool and it's black packed. It can go through your letterbox.
Amazing. Well, it is a great product, sustainable and a beautiful product. Worthy of investment, you think?
Oh, I daren't say this on television. I'm in.
Yeah, excellent.
Congratulations to Andrew. Those pots are so clever. Well done. Now, something else that's good for our planet is planting a tree. Now, I know just how daunting it can be. I had to do a lot of research when I got mine. But when you go to a nursery or garden centre and look at the price tag, it can really turn you off. But it doesn't always need to break the bank. The team will be sharing their foolproof guide to buying the perfect tree for your outdoor space. And today, in the first part, Carol's looking into a type of tree that will give you interest all year round.
Trees are vital to our very existence. They produce the oxygen that we breathe. Even in the smallest garden, even in a container, it's so important to try and grow a tree. And which tree you choose depends on all sorts of factors. What are the conditions in your garden? What kind of shape do you want? What kind of stature do you want your tree to have? There are so many, many choices. For a start, you could choose between deciduous trees and evergreens. Deciduous trees drop all their leaves during the winter, whereas evergreens are there all the year round. And that's what I want to look at today. One group of evergreens that most of us are familiar with are the conifers. Now this Nootka cypress I've never ever seen anything like it. I love the way it goes right up to the sky. It's glorious. And I can imagine using this with several of them down the border, making a lovely sort of rhythm with this big vertical accent within a flower bed. But I don't think you get away with it on a balcony, because I think the top might just hit the ceiling of the people living above. This conifer is from far away, but we do have several conifers that are native to our very own islands. And a really good idea is to grow a native tree like this beautiful Scots pine. Because it's grown here, it's cheap, it's straightforward, and it's incredibly long-lived too. So the Scots pine grows as nature intended it, but evergreens lend themselves to the hand of man or woman. Look at these beautiful yews here that have been pruned to perfection. Now you can never really clip and control a deciduous tree. You can prune it a bit and try and make it a shape, but you can't make anything as structural and solid as these beautiful, beautiful yews. And it's not just in these glorious forms. Further on, there are Ilex crenata. It's a holly, in actual fact, but not prickly at all. You can get in there with the shears and make it whatever shape you want. There's such a variety of trees to choose from. So many. Go and have a look in a few parks and gardens and see which tree you really, really like. And when you're buying it, you don't have to spend a vast fortune. In fact, it's a better idea if you don't, because if you buy a young tree, it will establish much, much better. And remember, a tree's not just for Chelsea, it's for life.
Tomorrow, the team will be sharing the trees that give you a little extra something, like fruit. Now, here in the Grey Pavilion, growers from around the world bring simply the best flowers for us to marvel at. And we're tapping into the exhibitors' unrivaled knowledge to find out the best ways to grow some of our garden favourites. Today, it's all about a classic, the allium. I'm here with one of the leading allium growers. I've got to say, Mark, congratulations, another gold for you.
Yes, another gold. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Must be thrilled. Now, we're standing by some amaryllis, but my heart is devoted to the allium. Why is it we love them so much? What is it about this flower? Because they just don't seem to be going out of fashion.
No, that's because of the structure, the diversity of the varieties, like the colors, the shape, all those kind of things. And they're like height as well, so they can pop out in every garden.
There's plenty of alliums here at Chelsea. I mean, they are showstoppers. As we love them so much, what are the best tips that you can give us? Because I've lost a lot of alliums this year, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
What can we do?
Best thing to do is plant them in well-drained soil. Semi or full sun is always a good place for them. And as soon as they finish flowering, deadhead them. Don't let them make seed heads.
Really?
If you do let them make seed heads, it all takes the energy away from the bulb. It weakens the bulb and you might lose them for the following year, or at least you will have them smaller. So deadhead them as soon as they're finished flowering.
And if you do want to keep them for structure over the winter months, you might need to plant a few more bulbs in the autumn, I'm guessing, or something?
Yeah, autumn time is the right time to plant them.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
Is that like the best question everyone always asks you? When is the best time to plant my alliums?
Yeah, that's the first question people ask. So,
is it?
Yeah.
And do alliums always come up in the spring, or can you stagger it? I can see you've got so many different varieties here.
Late spring to early summer, so that means May, June, July. And those varieties are coming in those months, yeah.
And I have to say, this one has caught my eye because I've never seen anything like it. Is this a new variety?
Yes, it's one of the seedlings from the old Schubertii. This one's called Arctic Snow. It's a nice white variety. And it's the first time on Chelsea that we could bring it. So
really?
They just made it in time to show it.
So we've got a little bit of an exclusive here.
Yes, yes. Normally they flower in June as well, so we force them and have them ready for Chelsea.
Does it have any fragrance?
Not this one,
Not
though.
this one,
There
but
are
some
a
of
few
them do.
varieties, they have a fragrance, yes.
And with alliums, everybody in the whole of the UK can plant them, can they? They can survive in all conditions.
All conditions, as long as the soil is well drained, yes.
And just remember, when you're planning your calendar, when it comes to autumn, get your bulbs in.
Yes,
Oh.
autumn time,
Mark,
not later than that.
Thank you so much. I think I need a few of these in my garden as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Thank you, and congratulations again on the gold.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, guys. I do love an allium. They're so bold, punchy and beautiful. Now, over the summer, most of us will be enjoying a barbecue or two. Levi is still with us. Do you love a barbecue?
Is that a trick question, Angellica? No.
Silly question, Levi, wasn't that? He loves a barbecue. Now, with more people looking for meat-free alternatives to put on the grill, we've got a few tasty recipes for you to try today. Now, Jodie from Cayley Brothers, who is exhibiting over here in the Great Pavilion, is specialising in growing mushrooms.
Hello.
And you've got some wonderful ones here.
We do here. This is a small sample of types of mushrooms you can grow in your own home.
Okay.
In just a matter of weeks. They want a bit of light to grow, so kitchen windowsill, dining room table, and you can harvest your fresh mushrooms.
It's
And
easy?
It's really simple. You just need to remember to water them. And they taste incredible, like anything homegrown. You know, that the texture, the flavour, it just adds something extra to your cooking.
So daily watering, weekly, what would you say?
Daily, so you need to be misting them a couple of times a day. So they are quite needy in terms of watering, but if you're there filling up the kettle by your sink, water your mushrooms and you'll be harvesting your own crop in a number
Now,
of weeks.
Jodie, I've seen that you've grown this mushroom in soil. Is there any other thing that you can grow the mushroom in, apart from soil?
Coffee grounds,
Coffee,
we
yeah?
use coffee grounds, you can grow in straw, sawdust, any number of what would normally be sort of byproducts of industrial waste, or, you know, from coffee shops, they just throw it in the bin and you can grow mushrooms really easily just on coffee.
Oh, so they're really adaptable.
Oh, it's so adaptable.
Amazing. And we recognise these ones, chestnut,
That's right,
oyster.
yeah.
These ones look a bit show busy.
Yeah, so we've got a lion's mane, which is just stunning. It's got such an
It's
intensity
beautiful.
of flavour.
This looks like it doesn't needs to be eaten. Just look at it and just admire it.
But you want to eat it. You'd slice it like a cauliflower steak, bit of butter, some seasoning, maybe some spices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
beautiful.
fantastic.
Okay, well, let's get to the recipes.
Great.
The classic burger.
That's it. So vegetarian or not, it's delicious. So the mushrooms add an incredible intensity of flavour. This is a pulled pork oyster burger. So it's got some miso and some tamarind in there. You could add some beautiful spices. The oyster mushrooms so intense in flavour that you can pair it really well with other big flavours.
Yes, I mean big flavours like a jerk flavour, perhaps. And jerk, you would have to have some Scotch bonnet chilies in there, give it a bit of punch. Some allspice in there. Would it affect the mushroom in any way?
It would add to it, so it would really tolerate all those flavours and add
Yes.
to it.
And this is a complete vegetarian burger here. Complete vegetarian.
We put a
Lord
bit
of
of
mercy.
aioli in there.
Well, let me go in. Shall I go and have
You
a
go
taste
in.
in it?
While you try that, let's talk about these mushrooms here.
So another barbecue favourite is some skewers. So these are shiitake mushrooms. We've marinated them in some tamarind and some soy, and then we've roasted them on the barbecue. What do you think?
Lord of mercy. And that means it's absolutely delicious. It's
Amazing.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's really tasty, lot of flavour, a bit of kick in there as well.
That's it.
Because that's what some people are afraid of when it comes to mushroom and vegetarianism. It's the
That's
flavour.
it. So this is where the flavour comes from, and they can tolerate so many other flavours being added to them. So
This is easy. This is great.
Really simple.
Let's talk about this next one. Okay. Yeah. This.
So it's a mushroom keema. So it's lots of curry
Keema.
spices.
Let's start.
That's
What have we got
Okay,
here?
cool. What we got?
Okay,
Pass it
so
over.
we're going to start with the onion, please.
Put some onions. Okay,
That's
let's
it.
go in. In with the onions,
pan.
yeah? All
and
right,
then
cool.
you're going to fry it up with some ginger and some
Ginger.
garlic.
This is the ginger here. Let me smell it. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
cool ginger.
amazing.
Spicy.
That's it. So you want to add lots and lots of flavour.
And next, which one next?
And then we've got
some garlic.
some garlic, please. Yes, please.
Okay, cool.
We've got
There we are.
onions, ginger, garlic.
Yeah.
What else?
And then we're going to add the curry spices. So this is a
Curry
really
spice.
beautiful
Oh.
blend of spices.
Smells delicious.
Yeah. So you're going to add that to the pan.
We're going to whack
Yep.
them all in.
In
And
it
then when
goes.
you're cooking at home, you treat the mushrooms just as you would mince. So you're going to
Yeah.
mix it all up.
And
all
these
of it
lovely
up
peas, that's going to give you some nice colour
We'll
and
add
texture.
those at the end. So
At
we
the
want
end.
the mushrooms
Okay, cool.
next.
Mushrooms
That's
next.
it.
Okay, there you go.
So these are a chestnut mushroom.
And in it goes?
In it goes. Readily available, really easily to source adds so much flavour. That's it.
Oh, it smells
Obviously,
delicious.
at home, you'll have much more time to cook this, saute these down.
You would.
This is
and
just
the
for
tomato goes
TV,
in?
but
Then the tomatoes are going to go in as well. That's it. You're going to cook it down until it's all the flavours have been added and blended, and then at the very end you're going to add your peas
Add
into
your
the
peas,
mix.
right,
as well.
I'm going to give you a little bit now.
So you can pair it with some pitta and also some raita as well.
I'm gonna
And you
try
can
it.
add any level of spice to it.
Oh, this looks, I mean, kids would love this.
Oh, it's so simple. And children can help make it. What do you think?
Ah, it's so delicious.
Yeah.
Ah, it's so cool.
We're convinced.
Okay.
Lovely.
It could be meat or anything in there. It could be minced meat.
Exactly
You've
that.
got the fan with Levi. Finish it up, man. Now, one of the biggest challenges
Lovely.
for all gardeners at the moment is the
I think this is
ever-changing
really good.
extreme weather.
Really good.
It's something none of us
Tastes
can
like
escape.
mince.
Now, across the next few days, we'll be showing you the practical tricks here at RHS Chelsea to help you handle the weather your garden is struggling with most. Today, Toby's got his tips if your space is getting too hot.
Getting your head around, and it's a simple concept. It basically means which way your garden faces, either towards the south and the sun, or the north, or anywhere in between. An easy tell is if you get up at breakfast time and your garden's sunny and it's still baking hot in the afternoon, you've got yourself one sun-soaked south-facing plot, and you need to choose trees, shrubs and flower. Large shrub, Sushan palm like this, sun lover, looks like a little slice of a David Hockney painting. Now, like all plants, trees draw up moisture. A hawthorn tree like this, economical to buy, grows in any soil, and that could be shipping 20, 30, 50 litres of water during the daylight hours into the air of your garden, making it so much more clement for other plants to grow. I don't think this sundial's working. But what is on the Bridgerton garden are the walls and the hedges that are protecting the plants from too much sun. Garden structures are an obvious way of giving a garden a sense of place and atmosphere for us, but more importantly for plants. You see how this hornbeam hedge at the back of the border here is casting shade? That's allowing for large and lush leaf plants like hostas and foxgloves to thrive. A wall like this, I mean, you see it, you want it, don't you? Thing about walls though, you've got to remember there's two sides to their character. There's the cool side in the shade, and there's a side in the sun where the heat is turned up to 10. And that's because of two things. When the sunshine hits the stonework, this could be on the walls of your house, it bounces back off the brickwork, and it's also held within the stone. And not all plants like that, but one group of plants love it, and that's climbers. The heat trapped in stonework like this will protect them, it will keep them cozy, and you'll get a flower display as beautiful as this. The genius of this garden, though, is in the middle, the fountain. Now, we all know warm air rises, or cool air sinks, so this fountain is cooling the air like a sculptural aircon unit, making this garden a much better place to grow. And you know, when I was asked to make a film about gardening with too much sunshine on a cold and rainy day, I thought it was being stitched up, but there it is, liquid sunshine.
Thanks, Toby. Now it's nearly time to open up our midweek Chelsea clinic. And in the hot seat this afternoon is James. But before he answers your questions, what is your budget-busting hack?
Well, I've got to say, if you go to the fruit and veg section of supermarkets, probably the most expensive thing there has got to be fresh herbs. So if you have a couple of sprigs of mint looking very sorry at the back of your fridge, shove them in a glass of water on a sunny windowsill. In a few weeks, they'll have roots like this. Put them up in some soil after this, lifetime supply of fresh mint.
I'm loving that. I waste so much money on herbs because they go out of, go out of date.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that.
The smell is incredible. It's like my therapy plant in the hot seat.
Oh, excellent. Okay, let's go with some questions.
Right, Hannah is a florist. She's travelled down from Leeds. What's your question?
Yeah, hi James. Yeah, so as Nicki said, I'm a florist and I try and grow cut flowers, and I've got a south-facing garden. It's got some quite mature trees at the end that cast shade, and I wondered what you could recommend for growing for a cut flower. It's a bit different in shaded area.
Well, you can get your hands on all kinds of things in the cut flower industry. So if you're growing your own, it probably needs to be something a bit unusual. So maybe, what about like a ginger lily, a hedychium? They come out later in the summer, and they look like the kind of thing you'd see in maybe like a Hawaiian hotel lobby, so impossibly exotic.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Grows really easily. Maybe even like some hostas, for example. So we know hostas usually for their leaves, but many varieties have beautiful flowers, completely unavailable in the trade, so you might as well grow your own.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Helen got in contact via Instagram. She says, what are your top evergreen plants for structure in containers? I'm interested to hear what you say with this.
So I know, a little bit of something that Carol's been on this.
Yeah.
And when we think about evergreens, we often think about conifers. So I don't want to tread on her toes. There are some other examples. If you like evergreens, you might want to go for something like an ever red or an ever orange or an ever yellow. So phormiums come in all of those beautiful colours, big strappy-like leaves from New Zealand that look like grasses, but in all ranges of colours. And if you have a protected, sheltered location, maybe even a tree fern in a pot, as long as you keep it well watered.
Okay.
Now, Anne is here because it's a birthday treat, isn't it, Anne? And where are you from?
I'm from Hexham, Northumberland.
You see, we're keeping the northern theme going, aren't we?
Yeah.
What's your question for James?
So, I inherited a peony tree about 10 years ago, and it's probably more than 20-year-old. Has beautiful chocolate brown flowers. And I need to know how to prune it properly because it's going all leggy, you know, and a bit stringy looking. So I want to make it more bushy.
Tree peonies have a tendency to do that. The amazing thing about them is their height. So what I might recommend is to keep the back half of it unpruned, to keep that height and structure, and to prune the forefront of it down by about half after it's finished flowering. That's going to encourage stockier, healthier growth at ground level, but still give you the height.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Has that helped?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Next year, this time, at your birthday, you'll have new flowers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Happy birthday from all of us.
Let's put this one in from Cole. Is there anything to the Chelsea chop? Should I do it, and if so, which plants?
Okay, so the Chelsea chop is a traditional pruning technique for most herbaceous border plants. You basically hack your plants down by half at this time of year, demonstrated through really good scientific trials. You get denser, stockier growth and a longer season of flowering. You don't have to do it, but it gives you those benefits if you choose to.
Thank you.
He's so good, isn't he? We love all these tips.
The only thing I can talk about is plants.
They make such a difference, James. Thank you very much indeed. And sadly, that's all we've got time for today. But the Chelsea Clinic will be open again tomorrow when Toby is here to answer your questions.
Sophie and Joe will be back here on BBC One tonight at 7 o'clock when they'll be opening up for the vote of the BBC RHS People's Choice Award, where you get to vote for your favourite large show garden.
And we'll see you tomorrow at 3:45, and it's bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
So the Scots pine grows as nature intended it, but evergreens lend themselves to the hand of man or woman. Look at these beautiful yews here that have been pruned to perfection. Now you can never really clip and control a deciduous tree. You can prune it a bit and try and make it a shape, but you can't make anything as structural and solid as these beautiful, beautiful yews. And it's not just in these glorious forms. Further on, there are Ilex crenata. It's a holly, in actual fact, but not prickly at all. You can get in there with the shears and make it whatever shape you want. There's such a variety of trees to choose from. So many. Go and have a look in a few parks and gardens and see which tree you really, really like. And when you're buying it, you don't have to spend a vast fortune. In fact, it's a better idea if you don't, because if you buy a young tree, it will establish much, much better. And remember, a tree's not just for Chelsea, it's for life.
Tomorrow, the team will be sharing the trees that give you a little extra something, like fruit. Now, here in the Grey Pavilion, growers from around the world bring simply the best flowers for us to marvel at. And we're tapping into the exhibitors' unrivaled knowledge to find out the best ways to grow some of our garden favourites. Today, it's all about a classic, the allium. I'm here with one of the leading allium growers. I've got to say, Mark, congratulations, another gold for you.
Yes, another gold. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Must be thrilled. Now, we're standing by some amaryllis, but my heart is devoted to the allium. Why is it we love them so much? What is it about this flower? Because they just don't seem to be going out of fashion.
No, that's because of the structure, the diversity of the varieties, like the colors, the shape, all those kind of things. And they're like height as well, so they can pop out in every garden.
There's plenty of alliums here at Chelsea. I mean, they are showstoppers. As we love them so much, what are the best tips that you can give us? Because I've lost a lot of alliums this year, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
What can we do?
Best thing to do is plant them in well-drained soil. Semi or full sun is always a good place for them. And as soon as they finish flowering, deadhead them. Don't let them make seed heads.
Really?
If you do let them make seed heads, it all takes the energy away from the bulb. It weakens the bulb and you might lose them for the following year, or at least you will have them smaller. So deadhead them as soon as they're finished flowering.
And if you do want to keep them for structure over the winter months, you might need to plant a few more bulbs in the autumn, I'm guessing, or something?
Yeah, autumn time is the right time to plant them.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
Is that like the best question everyone always asks you? When is the best time to plant my alliums?
Yeah, that's the first question people ask. So,
is it?
Yeah.
And do alliums always come up in the spring, or can you stagger it? I can see you've got so many different varieties here.
Late spring to early summer, so that means May, June.
And you'll be harvesting your own crop in a number of weeks.
Now, Jodie, I've seen that you've grown this mushroom in soil. Is there any other thing that you can grow the mushroom in, apart from soil?
Coffee grounds. We use coffee grounds. You can grow in straw, sawdust, any number of what would normally be sort of byproducts of industrial waste, or, you know, from coffee shops, they just throw it in the bin and you can grow mushrooms really easily just on coffee.
Oh, so they're really adaptable.
Oh, it's so adaptable.
Cool.
And we recognise these ones, chestnut,
that's right,
oyster.
Yeah.
These ones look a bit show busy.
Yeah, so we've got a lion's mane, which is just stunning. It's got such an intensity of flavour.
This looks like it doesn't need to be eaten. Just look at it and just admire it.
But you want to eat it. You'd slice it like a cauliflower steak, bit of butter, some seasoning, maybe some spices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Okay, well, let's get to the recipes.
Great.
The classic burger.
That's it. So vegetarian or not, it's delicious. So the mushrooms add an incredible intensity of flavour. This is a pulled pork oyster burger. So it's got some miso and some tamarind in there. You could add some beautiful spices. The oyster mushrooms, so intense in flavour that you can pair it really well with other big flavours.
Yes, I mean big flavours like a jerk flavour, perhaps. And jerk, you would have to have some Scotch bonnet chilies in there, give it a bit of punch. Some allspice spice in there, would it affect the mushroom in any way?
It would add to it, so it would really tolerate all those flavours and add to it.
And this is a complete vegetarian burger here. Complete vegetarian.
We put a
Lord
bit
of
of
mercy.
aioli in there.
Well, let me go in. Shall I go?
You go in. While you try that, let's talk about these mushrooms here.
So another barbecue favourite is some skewers. So these are shiitake mushrooms. We've marinated them in some tamarind and some soy, and then we've roasted them on the barbecue. What do you think?
Lord of mercy. And that means it's absolutely delicious. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's really tasty. A lot of flavour, a bit of kick in there as well.
That's it.
Because that's what some people are afraid of when it comes to mushroom and vegetarianism. It's the flavour.
That's it. So this is where the flavour comes from, and they can tolerate so many other flavours being added to them.
This is easy. This is great.
Really simple.
Let's talk about this next one. Okay. Yeah. This.
So it's a mushroom keema. So it's lots of curry spices.
Let's start. What have we got here?
Okay, cool. What we got?
Okay, so we're going to start with the onion, please.
Put some onions. Okay, let's go in. In with the onions, yeah? All right,
and then
cool.
you're going to fry it up with some ginger and some garlic.
This is the ginger here. Let me smell it. Yeah, it's really cool ginger.
Amazing.
Spicy.
That's it. So you want to add lots and lots of flavour.
And next, which one next?
And then we've got
some garlic?
Some garlic, please. Yes, please.
Okay, cool.
So we've got onions, ginger, garlic.
Yeah.
What else? And then we're going to add the curry spices. So this is a really beautiful blend of spices.
Smells delicious.
Yeah. So you're going to add that to the pan.
We're going to whack them all in.
And then when you're cooking at home, you treat the mushrooms just as you would mince. So you're going to mix it all up.
And these lovely peas that's going to give you some nice colour and texture.
Those at the end. So
at
we
the
want
end.
the mushrooms
okay, cool.
next.
Mushrooms
That's
next.
it.
Okay, there you go.
So these are a chestnut mushroom.
And in it goes?
In it goes. Readily available, really easily to source and add so much flavour. That's it.
Oh, it smells
Obviously,
delicious.
at home, you'll have much more time to cook this, saute these down.
You would.
This is just for TV,
but then the tomatoes are going to go in as well. That's it. You're going to cook it down until all the flavours have been added and blended, and then at the very end, you're going to add your peas into the mix as well.
I'm going to give you a little bit now.
So you can pair it with some pitta and also some raita as well.
I'm going to try
And you can add any level of spice to it.
Oh, this looks. I mean, kids would love this.
Oh, it's so simple. And children can help make it. What do you think?
Ah, it's so delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool.
We're convinced.
Okay.
Lovely.
It could be meat or anything in there. It could be minced meat.
Exactly.
You've got a fan with Levi. Finish it up, man. Now, one of the biggest challenges for all gardeners at the moment is the ever-changing extreme weather. It's something none of us can escape. Now, across the next few days, we'll be showing you the practical tricks here at RHS Chelsea to help you handle the weather your garden is struggling with most. Today, Toby's got his tips if your space is getting too hot.